Okay, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Well, today I'm doing kind of a crappy job. It's hot, it's dry, it's late July. That means we're working on the forage harvester in the morning when it's not too bad. And then hauling out some manure in the afternoons when it's hot and we want to be in the air conditioning of the trucks at least. The loader air conditioning is on full blast, as you can see. Both the window and door open. The key is to load upwind from the truck so that you don't get dusted. So throughout the year we are always maintaining our cattle pens to make sure the manure isn't getting too deep, and that helps when it does rain, the water runs off of it to the lagoon and it doesn't get too muddy. And then when it's dry, we keep it piled so it's not too dusty. And so you can see we kind of put it into piles, and the piles will actually dry out faster than the flatter part of the pen, so the cattle will lay on that when it's muddy and wet. And then in the summer when it's dry is when we like to load out, because we can haul we can haul full loads of dry, lighter manure to the field, and then we can spread it on a dry field and not have the compaction. Here in Kansas, we can spread during the winter. We like doing it in the summer, at least large amounts at a time, just because it works better doing it after a wheat crop and when it's dry. So we double cropped every wheat field except for this one we're spreading manure on, and so that's what we're doing today. Oh yeah, that's a good big load. So right now I am hauling by myself, waiting on reinforcements. Dad was raking some hay this morning, and I think he might be showing up with the Kenworth tandem truck here soon. And then Greg and Kendall, they are at a speaking event this afternoon and are driving back all the way from Iowa, and will hopefully be home tomorrow afternoon and can help. A lot of times we haul manure like we chop silage, 3 trucks and 2 loaders, and we hammer it all out real fast. But I'm starting it out slow and steady with 1 truck and load by myself. So last year we had a very wet summer, a wet July, and so the wheat field we left open to put manure on, once it rained so much in July, it was pretty much muddy until, or not muddy, but it was wet until we were ready to drill wheat again. So we did spread some manure on it, but not a whole lot. We had also hauled a lot out the summer before that, so we didn't have as much. And so we didn't spread that much over the summer last year, but this year we should have a pretty good amount more. We're not planning on just doing like the most we've ever have, but we'll see if we cover this whole field. We'll at least start on one side and work our way over, and then spread manure on the toughest spots of fields, or we just try to cover the whole thing evenly. We'll just make sure to get some out of all the pens so we're in good shape going into next winter. I'm driving right by our irrigation pivot that's running, and it's the one that's has been giving it some trouble, but now for the last day or two it's been working. But there it is. But I get to check it every 20 minutes today by driving past all the time. So hopefully it keeps working. Look at that nice load of organic fertilizer. My help is here. Dad is a wizard with a loader. If there was loader competitions, I'd put Dad up against anyone. World Championship, Olympic loader and tractor bucket work. Nobody's beating Dad. I just got off the phone with a salvage yard in Kansas City to get a new air ride seat for this semi, because this seat broke right like the first couple days of wheat harvest or something like that, and so it doesn't have any air ride left to it. It sits down low and is rough, and it's kind of complicated to fix. The bars like broke under there. I don't even know for sure, but anyways, we didn't really want to buy a brand new seat for an old truck because I guess we're cheap, I don't know. But anyways, Greg and Kendall are driving back from Iowa through Kansas City, and so I found a salvage yard, or at least, well, it's a truck shop, but they sell used parts, and found a cheaper option for a seat. So they're gonna pick it up on their way home. 3 hours away, but it works. So that'll be nice it should go right in here and be a lot better. So we've said it before on vlogs and on our manure spreading video. We really like putting cattle manure out on our fields. It raises the organic matter, and it provides nutrients for several years after it's applied. But we don't, our cattle don't produce enough manure to use all, organic fertilizer on all our fields. We can cover about 40 to 80 acres a summer, and we'll see that manure, those nutrients released over the next 2 to 3 years, most of them coming in the first year. And so we can never cover all of our acres. There are ways to farm organically and use all manure and like legumes to give yourself nitrogen and to avoid synthetic fertilizers. But that's not how we choose to farm. We like to do things organically when we can, and we like to recycle our cattle manure and try to be good to our soil and good stewards. But we do use synthetic fertilizers to help get the production we need to be profitable. But we do really like building our soils with manure. This field that we're putting it on this year has produced several good crops, and it's probably been 10 years since we've spread manure on it, and we've had a few years of good crops, and the phosphate levels are getting down, and so instead of applying more synthetic phosphorus, we're going to put manure on there, and that'll boost them up and also give us some nitrogen. And typically we can raise some really good wheat following an application of manure, and we'll see the organic matter increase in our soil tests, and it'll help us raise good crops in years to come. Some of the downfalls of applying manure is it can be some compaction, and then it also, typically we have some weed seeds. We don't, some people like compost their manure, and that'll kind of burn weed seeds out of it. We don't do that, and so we typically also, manure just makes the perfect environment for seed to grow, but the benefits definitely outweigh that. We just have to be prepared after we apply it to know that there's going to be heavier weed pressure in those fields. And the only other thing I can think of is, like, sometimes it can cause lodging issues. It can cause wheat to fall down if you over fertilize. So I try not to put too much nitrogen on a wheat field following an application of manure, so that it doesn't fall down. That's kind of like too much of a good thing. It's not really a downfall. So we are moving to pin 7. So I am going to, Dad's opening into the pen we just finished. Well, it was already open, but he's closing the other gates through the alley. And I'm gonna get these cattle out of here and take them over to that pen, because we've tried loading out of the same pen cattle are in before, and it just never works out well. They are sure to find the gate. That gate needs some oil. Yeah, you better run. Well, actually, we still need to scrape here. Scrape the loose dry stuff into a pile. But we'll also just scoop off the pile a little. So the first 2 pins Dad had scraped up ahead of time, but I kind of got ahead of him. But now he will scrape this dry stuff, all the loose stuff on top, and that's mostly what we're hauling out, but we will take off the piles some. We like to have some piles for like in the winter, because the rain and snow will run off the piles and they'll dry off faster, and the cattle will lay on the dry piles. This is one of Dad's favorite things to do, is scrape pins. I think it's relaxing, you know, you just drive in circles and pile, and then it'll make it a lot easier to scoop up too, make it go a lot faster.
There's Nathan finishing up loading the grain dump here. We've been going with 3 trucks. And Dad's also been running the scraper up there on the hill, right there. If the 3rd truck is caught up, he quickly scrapes the next pen, and then we kind of all take turns rotating through, moving cattle out of the pen if we need to, and then opening gates to get into that pen. I started in the gray end dump, and then I did 1 load in the Kenworth, and now I'm in the white end dump, the last 2 loads. So, we'll get another load done here. Alright, Dad's full, and he's going to get out of here, and I'll be up next. Loader's hiding right over that hill. Alright, so I just parked that semi. I'm done unloading for the night. I'm gonna use that same loader to load feed for the cattle. Gonna kind of clean out the bucket first. Dad went to an outdoor theater, Broadway RFD, which is put on by in Lindsborg, local town. And then Nathan went to play volleyball with Riley. But I was just on a trip for several days, so I'm not going anywhere tonight. So I'm gonna finish up chores, go to pasture real quick, and then we're gonna reuse all this equipment, so I'm not really gonna put too much away. One very important thing is to put one pen of cattle back to a different water. They have access to one water, but I gotta put them back in the pen I'm gonna feed them in and give them access to different water. And that's an important thing to check at the end of the day. Don't wanna leave cattle in this type of heat without water for more than even in like an hour. So this pen 4B, and now the bunk line is packed down real tight behind the bunk line. So that should help it stay solid for a little while too.
All right, today is our last day of spreading manure. Yesterday, Nathan and Dad were out here with 2 spreaders, and they spread about this 50, 60 acre patch here. Now we're gonna go finish what's along the trees over there that I was working on yesterday. So we should finish it up here pretty quick with 2 spreaders. Gonna try to get some footage for you guys with both spreaders going. And today should be our last day of spread manure. So as you walk through the field here, you can kind of see how it evenly distributes the manure kind of all over the field. You don't really want too much in one spot. You want just the right amount. All right, so you got quite a few piles here. We've probably spread about half of the piles that we made here, and we're gonna keep working on it this morning. So the way this works is that the tractor's got a PTO that spins around, that runs those beaters back there, and that's what spreads it. And then it's got these hydraulics that push this bar back and pushes the manure out, and then the beaters spread it. This is what you don't want to stand behind when it's turned on. That would be bad.
TopCon GPS showing us where we've spread and where we haven't. We basically just paint whenever we turn the manure spreader on. Gotta make sure we get this one nice and full. And this is our smaller manure spreader. We used to have 2 of these Kelly Ryans. Now we use this one over here as our main one, and this one is our backup. Thought I'd ride with Nathan for one round just to make sure we get some footage.
This is our good old Kelly Ryan manure spreader. We used to have 2 of them, and they worked really good in tandem because it took the same amount of time to unload and load. So with the other bigger one, it takes longer to load and unload, but it still works pretty good to alternate, and then you keep the loader loading, and it makes it go a lot faster.
Basically, the other one has auto steer, and like Nathan said, kind of has a different spread pattern. So we basically take this smaller spreader to where we need to, like a different part of the field. It kind of does its own pattern.
And like yesterday, I was using that one in the big straightaway, more open area, and then Dad was kind of filling in smaller spots with this one. So
this one's a lot easier to maneuver. While Nathan spreads, I load, and while I spread, Nathan loads. All right, last load. Hope you guys enjoyed watching the manure vlog. We'll probably be doing this again in the winter. Generally, the 2 times a year we spread manure are July and maybe February or November. It kind of depends on when it's dry. Sometimes we have a really wet winter and can't spread any in the winter. We had a few comments asking why we choose the hottest time of year to spread manure. Well, that's when we have time. It's when it's dry. It doesn't compact the fields. It weighs less wear and tear on our equipment. So July is a good time for us, and it's a good thing to do. Recycling nutrients. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.